All right, hey guys, we got Coach B back. We're here to talk about double wing counterplay. All right, Coach.
Hey, what's up, coaches? All right, so today we're going to do counters, man. I know last time we talked a bunch about power. So today we're going to go in the opposite direction and talk about double wing counters and how I employ them, some different, things that I feel are important when it comes to mastering counters because, like me and Coach Jeff were talking before we went online, we were basically saying power does all the work and counter scores all the points. And to a double wing team, that could not be, any more closer to the truth. Like, a double wing team is going to want to set you up with their power play or their blast or, some other form of, POA overpowering, just outnumbering you at the point of attack, okay? And then once the defense starts doing something unsound, they're going to run a counter, okay? It's going to come in some form. Teams have a lot of different counters, like double wing teams, since you have wing backs and you have a fullback in very close proximity to each other, you have there's a lot of options for counter plays. So there's a lot of stuff going on with counters. I kind of refer to counters as almost like a flow play because power is kind of like a sledgehammer. The quarterback is spinning and tossing in the hole, and then he becomes a lead blocker. So it's kind of more of like a sledgehammer play, where counter is more of like a scalpel play because it's about footwork and it's about timing and it's about all your linemen being on the same page because it has to look like it's power. It has to start like power. Like if your counter plays look identical to your power plays until the last moment when it's too late, then you've succeeded with a counterplay. So today I'll just be going over like how I basically do that because that's exactly what I do at my level at youth. I typically try to coach usually 10 and up. I've done a 10U team. I've done an 11U team. I've done 12U a couple times, and then when I was an AYF coach, we weren't divided into like 12U and all that stuff. We were a limited weight 12 and 13, which are considered like junior midgets, and then we had peewees and junior peewees. So we were AYF rules. So when I was in a limited weight league, I found it was kind of really easy to run this offense because you figure even your linemen are going to only be a certain capped weight. So I wasn't dealing with any 12-year-olds or 13-year-olds that were like 240 or 260 because they are out there. And a kid like that on the line, especially if they put him in either C gap, it's gonna like a double wing team is gonna be like, oh no, they got that kid who's too not saying we wouldn't be game, but if you put him right where we want to run, like it could be an issue. But since I was playing in a weight restricted league, I just found that having smaller, more mobile linemen was really what I wanted instead of having these just big thunderous kids. And then my two largest kids were definitely going to be tackles because I stopped the traditional way of guard and tackle pulls. So I will just discuss that if you want to, Coach Jeff. So a lot of people ask me with my counters. I continue to gate pull with all of my counters, which means when I whiteboard these plays, you'll notice that I am a guard and tight end puller. Okay. That's more of like a high speed variation of the double wing because it was brought to flavor by I'm sure before Tim Murphy, but I know Tim Murphy was one of the guys that was doing it on a high level at high school, and he was gate pulling, and he just decided that like my tight ends are going to be so much faster than my tackles. But here was my issue that I had with the old. So a double wing team traditionally, like OG teams, will pull the backside guard and tackle, and then they will crab block the tight end into the B to C gap.
Yep.
Okay? He will just make a coffee table. Like he's not shooting into anyone's legs. What he's instructed to do is just basically crab into that B to C gap. Just make it so that a kid will have to literally jump over you to get into the backfield. If your double wing team is operating at max efficiency, a kid who has to stop to jump over somebody should never catch your three back from behind.
Yeah.
So you're kind of sacrificing your backside tight end. Here was the problem with that. A lot of times when defenses stack the line of scrimmage, your center would have to block down, which means away from the play, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So he would block down on a kid, and then your tight end would crab block into that same area, and a kid may get taken out, and then that kid that gets taken out knocks down the kid who the center was blocking, and the ref can't see it, and all of a sudden, 15-yard flag. It happened to me at least 5 times. So on the 5th time it happened to me, and it killed drives, because the double wing team cannot have, like, 2nd and 25.
Yeah.
Like, it will kill your drive. So I needed to come up with a solution for it, and gate pulling was that solution. So with all my counters, I went to exclusively gate pulling. I put my biggest kids at tackle. They aren't going to need to pull. They're going to be fast inside reach kids. I basically, when the pullers are going by them on their side, they're on the backside, I essentially have them step to the inside gap and then wheel their hips around so their butt is to the play. And just don't let anything, kind of like almost like area pass block. You know what I'm saying? I know it sounds weird, but they're just doing a fast inside reach to just cut off any inside penetration. I don't really care if the DN wants to crash and like go by him on the outside. I expect my power play to be quick enough to get out of dodge for that.
Yeah, backside DN is a non-issue.
No. I mean,
to your point,
if he's doing his job,
Yeah. I mean, he's not going to run down the kid. How far back the kids are, how quick the motion hits and toss, backside DN, you leave him unblocked. But I always liked with counter, even with us.
Yeah.
GT, guard tackle counter.
Yeah.
That's always, it's because the center technically got to block back, replace the guard, and that tight end's got to block down, replace the tackle. And again, you leave the edge guy unblocked.
Yes.
So about the edge.
Yes.
But,
so you're losing the edge guy anyway.
Yeah. So
you're losing your tight end anywhere.
It doesn't matter. So, I think sometimes it's a little harder to plug up interior penetration when that tight end has to kind of basically crawl down in 2 gaps. So when you have the tackle's there, you're replacing that guard easily. And then the center's there too. So it's always, I don't know how to explain it, it's always easier to kind of secure gaps closer to the play side.
Correct.
Like the C, even B and C gap, it's such a far distance. So that's why I kind of always like the tackle, because my tight end was always more athletic. My tackles were always more of our bigger kids. So I just think you get less penetration, because maybe the tight end doesn't get out of his stance good, or doesn't crawl enough, or trips, or someone occupies him and they send someone else. Someone slants into him, then they slant, like we would kind of do on our uptown call on defense. But that's with the tackle, that's a non-issue, because you kind of close that backside A, where if there is penetration, that may have an impact on the play. So that's why I like DT
at all costs.
Tight end.
I tell my tackles, I kind of coach them, like, just, go out there and, assess the line. Like, by, play number 3, who the good kid on that line is. Like, by 12 years old, I have these kids talking to me hey, number 90, is he giving you problems? And sometimes they're like, no, coach, he's, soft. And this, you know what I'm saying? So, I try to get my feedback from these guys. But, so one of the things that, and we touched on it a little bit, is that I'll just run through the things that I feel from my perspective and kind of how I do my plays. As I told you earlier, Coach Jeff, the way I tier my plays is I have tier 1 plays, which consist of power, counter, and wedge. So those are the type of plays that always go into my system first. They're always the plays that get installed first. They're always the things we are running live first. They're the things we take to jamborees, and just so we show a limited amount of our offense. But it's my core stuff. That's all that tier 1 stuff. And then I look at counter, trap, and sweep. I look at those kind of tier 2 plays, because a counter trap is kind of more of a heavy duty interior running play. It has, I wouldn't say a tricky blocking combination, but it has a good God tag that we don't usually use, because I run it on the 2-man and I run it on the 3-man, which are my guards. My guards aren't used to being the at-man, because we run a lot of 4 and 5-man stuff, right? Yeah. So my tackles get used to being the at-man, we're running at you, kid. you must be good if we're running at you. That's all I tell them all season, you know, so they know gap on, outside gap down. They get it in their sleep, okay? So when I go to my counter traps, because I look at that like a tier 2 kind of play, because it's kind of a combination between a counter and a trap. It's to the fullback, and it's an interior running play. And then my sweeps mostly come from, I kind of got away from doing UC sweeps. I do mostly Trojan sweeps from, you know, my gunwing set. But for getting your counter game together, one of the biggest things you have to do is, again, you have to make sure your power game is a problem for the other team. Like, if they have to commit enough people to start, like, what generally happens is when a double wing team will come out, they'll run power first play, and they'll get, like, 11 yards, right? Because if they know how to execute, because this is a play that they've been running for every practice for weeks.
Yep.
And you have 1 week to get ready for them. So usually what happens is the first play, they're going to get like 11 yards. Then they come out again and they get like 8 yards. And then the defense starts catching on, is because you're starting to get them seasoned and conditioned for power. When they shut it down and you start getting like maybe 3, 2 yards, 4 yards, you know, just when you see production drop off, you kind of know that the defense is doing something unsound, or they're just slanting to motion, or they're just committing to that side, okay? So your power game has to be relentless, and it has to be repped, and it has to be executed flawlessly, and that will lead you into your counter game. So one of the things that about my counter specifically is that they are all about good fakes and good footwork, okay? I preach like an efficiency of movement with my team, which means like I don't want any wasted steps in the backfield, okay? Because counter is a type of play which, like I said earlier, like power is the sledgehammer and counter is the scalpel. Counter is a play where it's kind of like a dance in the backfield, because there's a lot of moving parts to it, and you have players in close proximity to each other. That you don't want running into each other. You still have pullers coming from the backside. So you really have to rep this play to get it down and to get it to look, you know, correct, okay? So with my teams, again, I stress efficiency of movement and no wasted steps. So everybody knows where they should be as the play progresses, when they should be there, okay? To make sure that all the pullers aren't like pullers aren't crashing into each other. Like, I have an order through the hole. Like, it's going to be you, Billy, and then you, Jimmy, and then you, Tommy, like, as they go through the hole, okay? There's a specific order. And for any timing issues, I'll add like a jab step from the fullback. You know what I'm saying? Like, if there's a timing issue, then I'll do something like, and I'll be like, hey, Billy, you're the fullback, and I notice there's an issue. Like, when you and the guard in front of you pull, I notice you're running into each other. So what I'll do is, since I want the guard in front, I'll just have the fullback just, boom, counter step real quick. Then he follows the guard, you know? So I'll add timing in there when I see issues to make sure it runs like a dance, okay? And good fakes by your three backs. I make my kids take these fakes to the cotton candy guy. Like, take them to the sidelines. And I teach kind of like the rockin' the baby kind of stuff. Like, look like you're running the ball. Do not ever turn around with your arms down and look at the runner. Like, if I see that on film, like, I pretty much film all my games, and I will watch every play 11 times so I can see what every single kid is doing on every play.
Same thing with me.
Yeah, I was a huddle monster. When I used to come in and I used to see that these kids were putting in 0.4 hours on huddle, I would start calling out kids right in practice. I'd be like, what's the matter? You can't get on huddle? Like, I was a huddle animal, but it was necessary because this is how I wanted the play to run. So I was constantly telling them, hey, this you're not where you need to be. It was a good tool for me. So good fakes. Make your kids carry out their fakes, okay? Another thing about my counters that I do specifically, and I stress it, and I see a lot of other double wing teams do not do, is low ball handling. I do not ever fake toss the ball. Have you seen this, Coach Jeff?
Yeah, they'll go and then turn around and hand it.
Correct. Like, what? Yeah, like, they will literally, the quarterback will spin like he's going to toss it, and he literally goes like this with the ball, and then he pulls it down and counters. Why would you do that?
Yeah, I don't know. Coming from a wing T guy, more so when we're under center, not as much in the gun. We can't really hide the ball as much. But from a wing T standpoint, every play the quarterback takes it, his back is to the defense. They can't see them.
Correct.
He's not exaggerating the fakes. He's letting the back. He's letting the backs exaggerate the fakes.
Listen, that
we do the
gives
same
you
thing with our kids. With our Rocket series, even we're not really even exaggerating it too much. We don't want them to see the ball.
Correct. It would give you the reason I'd seen it before, and I've always I mean I don't get on other people's cases, but I always want to know what advantage do you feel that gives you as an offensive coordinator? Because I can think of a couple that it gives the defense. Like you just showed them the ball, so now whoever's near the quarterback when he just raised it up is most likely the ball carrier.
Honestly, it's false movements. This kid is
100%.
exaggerating the toss. He's got to bring that shit back down. Find where he's handing the ball off and hand it to him.
No wasted steps.
Might hit slower.
No wasted steps. No wasted steps. No wasted animations. I don't really do any of that, you know? So low ball handling and do not fake the toss. So I keep the ball low at all times. Like you'll never see the ball
let
be
the
handed
back
to the
that you're faking to, let him exaggerate the shit out of it. And then that's what we do. That's what we do. Exaggerate like you're going to catch it, not the quarterback doing it.
Yeah. I have him run into the sidelines full speed. I've done things where I've done instead of a toss, where I'll do like where the quarterback, instead of tossing it, he keeps it, and then I have my 3-back jump in the air like it's a fumble. I've done funny stunts like that, but yeah, never anything serious. All right, so the most important thing about your counters, you need to have a solid, understandable blocking scheme regardless of the counter type, okay? I am a big supporter, and I've always advocated like just like keep it simple, stupid, especially at the youth level. So I don't like having to teach like special exotic blocking schemes for like individual plays. Like, all right, Jimmy and Timmy, we're gonna do this special counter, and it's gonna have you doing things that you've never ever done before. See my point? I don't ever want to put my kids in that position. So what I do is these counters are pretty much modular. Like to the line, any 25 counter is the same. Literally. There's one critical difference, and when we go to the whiteboard, I'll kind of explain why that is between the two counters. But if you have an understandable blocking scheme and you teach them just the differences between, like, hey, Billy, if I run this, counter cutback, you're the pulling guard, and normally on counters you would kick out the defensive end. But since Timmy, the quarterback, is actually tossing the ball to the running back, he is now free to do whatever he wants. So I'm going to have him attack the defensive end. What you're going to do is you're going to pull up into the hole like you do on all your other stuff, and you're going to go lead block and get some linebackers. And you pretty much have that conversation once or twice, and it's a wrap. He gets like the concept, okay? But the concepts for a counter to the line pretty much all stay the same. A 25 counter, a 325 crisscross counter, block the same. No differences. Another step is repped ball exchanges for crisscross counters, okay? Number one, crisscross counters to me are, again, like they're not even a tier 2 play. Because if a tier 2 play is counter, traps, and sweeps, crisscross counters is like a tier 3 play. Maybe even tier 4. Because you don't even really need it. Is it very hard to defend? Yes. Because the toss actually happens, and then all of a sudden it's a really fast, high-speed reverse.
It's expensive in regard to practice time, for sure.
Oh, no.
We're a team, and we don't really run crisscross counter just because I don't have enough time in the practice to get really good at it.
Yeah. I 100%.
We've ran it before, but it takes reps. It takes practice. And then there's just not enough time to
do you want to know
both groups, too. Like, if one of my backs is out, the second team who doesn't get as much reps as the first. We're pretty close, pretty even, actually. I think we're pretty good at that. But, like, it takes a lot for the starters that do it more so to get it. You take out one of those kids, the timing's over. Like, it takes a lot of time. Maybe it's how I'm coaching it, but, like, it's very time-consuming.
But think about this. Think about this for a second, and this is how I pitch it to the kids. I don't ever teach a Ray 325 crisscross counter until my Ray 34 power and my Ray
else is good. Yeah, it's easy.
Everything else has to be good. But think about this for a second. How I pitch it to the kids, the crisscross counter, The crisscross counter is just a 34 power and a 25 counter combined.
Yeah.
So if they already know 34 power and they already know 25 counter, the play is technically already in.
And if you really think about it too, the only real difference between power and counter is just the counter has backfield action. That's kind of deceptive. And then also you have, a lot of times you'll have a different kick out player. But on power and counter, you're going to have someone kicking, and you're going to have someone pulling and wrapping. In a double wing, you're going to have a bunch of people pulling and wrapping.
Correct.
But like for us, like there's always going to be a kick out and there's always going to be a wrap player. So it's kind of the same scheme. Like if that's, what you, like if your kids know, okay, we kick out and we wrap. It's the same thing in counter. We're just messing it up in the backfield. So it is similar, it's very similar. And our guards.
I try to keep the concepts as down to a minimum. Like if I can teach something,
really
they're very simple concepts, man. Literally, when I've lined kids up in this offense and stuff, I've literally even had some kids like go on to college careers and like some players at like D1 colleges, and man, I still get messages all the time, and they tell me like, Coach, man, I loved playing in the double wing. Like that was some fun. Like the kids. They like it, man. They like being the only one in the league to run it because, again, you don't see it too often.
You don't see it. We don't see it at all. I've been years without playing a legit double wing team that actually.
Bro, I would love to travel.
Since 2018 was the last time I played.
That's wild. It's crazy. I know.
I don't know why.
One of my coaches, Coach Billy. Shout out Coach Billy in Florida, man. He coaches for the Pompano Eagles, man, down in Fort Lauderdale. And he's running basically what I run. He loves the gun, okay? So what he has basically like he doesn't do a lot of UC stuff, but he does a lot of different stuff with the gun where he'll just like move his wings into different positions. Then he also is running a lot of pistol stuff where he'll put it's just like my gun wing, only instead of the 3-back being like over behind the tight end, he's like 7 yards back, like behind the quarterback, and it works because you could run either direction and pull from either direction. And pistol, if you have a bruising running back who's coming from 7 yards back, and trust me, in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, they have some big kids, man. I've never seen.
Yeah, there's some good athletes down there too. It's a hotbed of just good football.
Their teams, I couldn't believe it, man. Their line, they look like a high school varsity. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Sure. Your connection still good?
Yep, we're good. I went in and out for a second there, but I'm good.
All right, good. Yeah, for sure. All right, so the last thing I'm going to talk about before I get to the whiteboard stuff and start just showing you guys how I run my counters is attention to detail with counter cutbacks. And the reason I'm going to talk about this is because counter cutbacks is one of those plays where, remember I said like the crisscross counter is kind of like, any counter is like a scalpel. But the counter cutback specifically has to be run in a certain way. And it isn't really like a flow play because you're literally like going back against the grain. You're going to gum in motion like you're running right. And then as soon as he gets the toss, he stops in his tracks and comes back. A lot of people refer to this as the yo-yo counter. That double wing teams refer to it as the yo-yo counter. I don't ever call it yo-yo counter. I just call it 35 counter cutback. It fits in my good God blocking scheme principles because I'm telling you in the play call who's getting the ball, the 3-man. What guy is he going to? The 5-man, which is the left tackle. So the good God rules all apply. But it's an attention to detail play when it comes to footwork and just kind of like how to block it, how to, block against the front. And that's it. So the last thing I'll talk about counters is that, again, when it comes to your power game, don't overuse counters. I cannot stress enough. I know some just cowboy coaches, and they just always want to, after 3 power plays, like, they're just like, no, I got to run a counter. You don't have to, man. Like, literally.
I agree.
Just, dictate to teams what you want to do. What I generally do is I will power and wedge, and then I will usually attempt, like one pass. I will generally always in a game come out with a 10-play script. Do you coach with scripts? You're a defensive coach, right?
Our first We do, yeah. I would say
So
we
you wouldn't
script
come out
more
with a
stuff.
script. You
We
would
don't
just
actually
want to
don't
know
have a
what's on my
script, but
script.
we're gonna run jet, and then we're gonna do kind of because
Okay.
we have to see what their game. One, we want to find out like our first play 9 out of 10 times, maybe 10 out of 10 times, especially in regular season, is jet because so much of our
Okay.
core offense is off of jet sweep. So what is their answer for jet, or do they even have an answer? So like how they're reacting to our
Yeah.
motion,
Okay.
whether they're
So you're
reacting or
you're
not.
basically doing what I do, which is
Yeah, yeah,
intelligence. You're intelligence gathering.
yeah, and Jet's a good play
Yeah.
anyway.
The
Even if they're
reason I
ready
come
for
out
it,
with
it
my
hits so fast, and we're going to our best athlete. We only got to block three
yeah,
guys, so
I
we're
get
gonna
it.
run Jet. It usually always hits
I
good
get it.
because even if they're ready for it, they're not really ready for how fast the shit hits. So yeah. But we
Okay.
do. I would say we do script. If
See
you watch our
what?
game film, the first couple plays, it's for Jet Buck, Jet ISO, Jet, more Jet. Yeah. So yeah, we script.
Yeah.
I guess you could
What
say.
what I what I find myself doing when I go on a script is I'll have like a 10 play kind of program of what I'm going to run. But honestly, what that program is to me is those 10 plays is really notwithstanding. They're arranged in a certain order, but really what I'm doing is I'm just kind of probing. I'm going to test all of their gaps. I'm going to test them on the right side of the defense and the left side of their defense. I'm going to see their reaction to wedge. So there's at least one wedge in the first 10 plays because I want an instant
You only
reaction of
got to
what they're
do it
going to do
once.
when they see it.
You only got to do it once to make them think about it.
Yeah.
One time, that's it.
Sometimes I don't even have to sometimes I literally run it once and the first time I run it, it goes for a touchdown or it goes for like 50 yards because they're completely not expecting it. Generally, the first time I run it against a team, they don't know what the hell that just was.
Yeah, wedge.
So yeah, I mean, I will run it. I will run it generally. One of those plays will be a wedge just to figure out what they're going to do. I'll also run. I'll run at least one blast play. I usually have at least one counter in there because 10 plays is enough to have like one counter to
Right.
see what it does. Because sometimes teams sell out so quick it doesn't matter. So I just go off. I just go off a 10 play script and I try to do it. But don't run counter too much. Don't get crazy with it. You can be a good double wing team with literally one counter in each direction. If you don't want to run crisscross counter because you feel like it's a scoop and score waiting to happen, then don't run it because you'll do fine with a standard counter with your kids just working those fakes. It has to be a believable play. I mean, crisscross. If your kids are running it for a couple seasons and you want to really stress out defenses, then yeah, I mean, run crisscross, but. It's not something that you have to have in your wheelhouse to be part of your program.
And then here's to your point. Like
Yeah.
you don't hammer away at counter. Like you said, you just keep pounding power, and then if they're adjusting to
Yep.
it, maybe you still run power. But I think this is the fire tag where the wing comes up on the line. Is it fire or
Correct.
one of your tags from the last video? I
Yep.
remember.
Yep.
You
Fire.
can move him
Fire
up on the
and
line. That creates an extra gap,
Fire and
lines
flame.
them out, and then maybe you still could run power even if they're selling to it. So just keep establishing power,
Correct.
run it in different formation,
Correct.
utilize your tags, and then eventually once they wholesale to
Yep.
stop it, then you could hit it. So just like we talked about in the power
Yeah.
podcast, which if you guys didn't see, I'll put it on. I'll pop up on the screen and I'll put it in the description of the video. Definitely check that out. But like you could run the power so many
Sure.
different ways just by moving one kid. Like there's a
Yeah.
million ways you could still run that power, and then save your counter because eventually they're just going to overload to the motion side. So
Yep.
make them stop power. Make them come out
Yeah,
and say,
for sure.
okay, this team is not running power on us. Once they do that, that's when you hit them with counter. So, like you said, don't just power does the work. Counter will hit the 60-yard touchdown.
Yeah. Exactly. That's it, man. It's the bread and it's the butter, man. And this is why it's one of those offenses that people
And if you
people
don't
fear
show
playing it because
power, if you
it
don't
gives
show
it gives
power,
defenses a lot of different it gives defenses a lot of different challenges that they're going to face. Like they're going to face the wedge. They're going to face a good power game with a lot of pullers. It's going to be one of those, like, generally you're going to play a smash mouth football game if you are going to stop this. Like, you have no choice. If you don't have hitters on your team and you don't have alpha dogs, you're going to get run over, man.
and when you only run
So
counter
yeah,
a
it's
few
it's
times
been
a
it's been
game,
real good to me. Huh?
And when you only run counter a few times a game, like think about it, like if I'm scouting, if you ran power 75, 80% of the time, my practice time
Yep.
is going to be committed to stopping the shit you do for 70 to 80% of the time.
Correct.
Which means
Correct.
I'm not really practicing for counter. So once your counter hits, and a lot of those schemes are like, they're the same. So it's easy for your kids to run counter.
Yeah.
So it's like you don't practice it against it enough. Like that's when I'm just from a defensive standpoint. Like what do you do?
Correct. It's
that
a
you're
very
good at? What do I need to stop? Which will leave us susceptible to
it's a very practice.
So.
Yeah, it's a very practice efficient offense because again, you're lining up in just one simple formation. You're not doing a whole lot of like different things that need a whole lot of absorb a whole lot of coaching time. You just come out in this formation. You have a fire and flame tag. Boom, like we talked about earlier, this simple tag that gives all kinds of problems to the defense. Like, oh God, now they got another extra guy over here. So like, yes, it's one of those offenses that's hard to deal with because they spend every day of every practice just like doing these simple things, and you don't know which one of those simple things they're going to do pre-play. You just don't, and if they're good at all doing all of those things,
even
it's going to be a long
way
day.
of moving your fullback offset now and let him kick out, which would be good for what we do because we are going to squeeze. We're going to try to spill power. That's what we're just going to spill.
Yeah.
So what that would do, that would lessen the distance the fullback has, so we can't really squeeze it as much as we want. So you could still just move him over, close that distance, because if it's too far, we're going to do a good job squeezing, and it's going to spill it, make it bounce out. By you just moving the fullback over and up, I don't have time to squeeze down to that C and B gap.
It complicates.
So
it complicates that
you
a lot.
Run power. Even if you were schematically defending it the right way. So I know we're talking a little bit more about power now, but like just get good at power and counter guts.
I mean, no. But you're right. I mean, the reason I started offsetting fullback every single time was because again, I didn't feel like it gave me I didn't feel like I didn't feel like being center line gave me any offensive advantage. I felt like it gave me a disadvantage because again, I have to close the distance all the way over to the DN when I could just put him pre-plan his position and send him right out there. Boom. Anytime your defensive end wants to come, he can come meet my fullback. That's why I just tell my guys, my fullback has to manhandle that kid. Every play, you got to manhandle that kid. So that's how it goes. All right, so I'm ready to whiteboard out these counters. Are you ready?
All right, sounds good.
I'm about to show you these scalpels.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so as I said before, the counters are basically your scalpel of the double wing offense. Okay, so they capitalize on overplay to your power. Okay, so how this starts off, first I'll just discuss what's going on in my play call. Again, this is how I call my plays. This is how Steve Kalande called his plays. Pretty much structured his plays. Pretty simple, but they tell everything that's going on in the play. So Bear is telling my fullback, my four-back, that he is in the bear configuration, which means he's behind the guard. It like sniffed right up on the guard. Okay. Ray means this guy is going in right motion. Okay. The two-back is getting the ball, and he's going to the 5-man. So this is your two-back. This is your 5-man, because I'll number my linemen again, just to remind everybody, I number my linemen and not my holes. And this is 2, and this is 4, and this is 6. So the reason I number my linemen again is because linemen are dynamic and holes are static. As soon as you snap the ball and kids start moving, there is no more hole. Okay? So I teach my kids that their aiming point is the outside hip of whoever the at-man is, whoever we are running at, which for this play is the 5-man. Okay? Because this is a good God-blocked play, that also structures all the blocking on the play side based on good God rules. So good God rules state that if we are running at you, you must be good. So the at-man is blocking gap, on, outside gap, down. Okay, that is his progression. He steps to the line, he sees gap, no one is in his inside gap. He sees an on block because he sees a kid is in between his face mask. That's his man, okay? All kids inside the at-man are blocking God. Gap, on, down. Okay, that's this guy. He is inside the @man, so he's blocking gap. Looks in his gap, looks on, doesn't see anybody. So he has a down block, which means he has somebody on his inside neighbor. My center is always blocking man on, man away. So he comes to the line, sees he has a man on. So there's your double team. Okay, right there. This man is blocking gap down backer because he is one man outside the @man. This is also referred to as your kingpin. He's responsible for the pin block that is going to basically open up the running lane. Okay, here's your double team there. Now, so I've discussed the front side. Oh, I'm sorry. I've discussed the play side blocking. So I'm just going to discuss just really quickly the motion. Now, this Ray 25 counter, this is your 3-back going in Ray motion. He is going to get up from his 3-point stance, go in motion, and then just basically fake out here like he has already got the toss while he's just rocking the baby like I discussed earlier. Okay? Now, on the backside, on any standard counter, my guard knows that he is responsible for the kick out. Okay? So this end comes down here, okay, to contain. My backside guard comes out, just tracks him wherever he is, takes him out. Okay, he's responsible for the kick out. Backside of the line, tackle, fast inside reach, just cutting off any inside penetration, anything that happens in here. Okay, I am gate pulling, so this guy basically is going to ski-daddle across the line. But actually, before I plot out what he's going to do, I want to talk about what I talked about earlier when I talked about efficiency of footwork and how this works and how I make this work. Remember I talked about earlier, I'll make this 4-back take a simple jab step for timing, okay? And the reason he does that is because he's going to be the first person through the hole, okay? So what's going to happen is he's going to take a quick jab step. The guard is going to pull and cross his face, and basically he is going to follow right behind him in a nice, tight, bunched up line. And right behind him is going to be the pulling tight end. They're keeping it as close to the line of scrimmage as possible. This is not a play that happens way back here, okay? Mm-hmm. They are pulling and getting right on those wheels. So you're going to have the 4-back who is going to counter step to his right, and he's going to pull right through here, right through the 5-man to backer, wherever he's going to take it. 6-man, I mean, your backside tight end is going to pull, come through, boom. Okay? Leave anybody? Nope. Okay, the 2-man. Now, on this counter, again, my wings are at a 45-degree angle to the tight ends, okay? So essentially all he does, he just kind of does like a little open step, which almost takes him on a track like this, like he's here. He just kind of takes a slight open step where he opens his hips, and then he just comes right down the pipe, nice and close to the line, okay? Now, the quarterback always opens to motion, so what he does is he reverse pivots, and as he reverse pivots, he opens up the lane for the pulling guard and the 4-back and the gate puller to just stream through that area. Now, the ball exchange happens like right here. Okay? So your 2-back is almost at the line of scrimmage when the ball actually changes hands. This is an inside counter. Okay? It's hard to see. This is why I talk about low ball handling. None of this spin and then show the ball like right here. There's no reason for that, okay? You just keep it nice and tight to the line of scrimmage. End gets taken out by the backside guard, okay? All right, now I'm going to erase this, and I'm going to show you really quickly what the 325XX crisscross counter looks like. And the reason I'm going to show this next is because I want to show you one subtle difference about this play and why I make this change. Okay, I'm in the same configuration as I was before. Now this will be Bear Ray 325XX. Okay, I could add counter to this, But the reason I shortened this to 325XX is because I couldn't fit this entire play on their play call cards, on their wrists. So I had to shorten it down to 325XX and 234XX, which is the other complementary play. So, Rage with 325XX, this is a counter. They know it's a counter. So, what I want to show you is I want to show how this blocking plots out specifically with the defensive end and this change. Okay? Let's put backers, 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 corner, corner, safety. All right, so on the play side, the entire line is going to do the same thing, assuming that this is their defensive alignment, okay? They're just going to follow good God rules, whatever those rules may be. So for this play, we're going to have the same blocking on the front side, okay? Because they're in the same alignment. This guy has an on block. This guy has a down block, okay? This guy is going to go in motion, okay? I tell him to go in shallow motion, okay? I don't have him go way back here. He's in shallow motion, okay? Now, the change for this concerns my guard, who is my two-man, and my quarterback. And the reason is this, is because when the quarterback opens up to motion, okay, this is a 325XX. So the quarterback is going to open, I tell him to open your first step should be to 7 o'clock, okay? Like 7 o'clock on a clock, you know, like he's standing on like his 12 is straight ahead, 7 o'clock would be back away. So his left foot is going to step to 7. As he steps to 7, he tosses the ball, okay? Now, since he stepped to 7, his hips are open to just come screaming down the line after he tosses it to take out the defensive end. Okay? So all he does, he opens his hips, tosses it, and then attacks laterally to the defensive end. Now, my guard knows that because he knows this is a 325XX counter. He knows he's relieved of kicking out the defensive end. So he does the same thing he does last time, only this time he pulls, he basically counter pulls, gets upfield whenever he can, goes straight to backer like he normally does. Fullback still takes his counter step. He comes up through the lane, going for backers. Fast inside reach, gate pull, same thing. Okay? Everybody accounted for. Now, after he gets the toss, about here, this kid is still going to hesitate for a second as he drops steps to open his hips. This guy continues his track right here, nice and shallow, as they come. And the ball exchange happens right about here. Right, kind of where it would happen if the quarterback had the ball, okay? It's a pretty fast ball exchange. This has to be repped, okay? Because it's not easy to catch a toss at full speed and then get the ball ready to hand off to another kid, okay? You're talking about, youth players. It's a little bit harder than it is with, with high schoolers, but you can get it down and you can get the reps for this. It works. And it's really hard to stop because, again, it gives the defense a look of power and then quickly everything is going the reverse direction. And if these kids have slanted down against this or they're playing way out here, like it's a wrap. This kid's going to have nothing but green grass.
Yeah, and I like this too because first off, you get an extra guy. Like on counter, you have one less blocker than you would on power. In a double wing, you're getting a lot of blockers to the play side no matter what. But at least with counter, you get one less guy I got to worry about or one less number I got to match. Right? So you're getting that back. You're essentially running power.
That's why I like
counter backfield action with the same numbers. So that's what I like about it. The numbers at the point of attack.
Yeah.
It's just
because in the traditional double wing counter, like the first one I showed, the quarterback is wasted. Once he hands the ball off, he's not doing anything.
Yep.
Like on that traditional counter, he hands the ball off and then the play is over for him. He has no more responsibilities. But in this counter, he actually tosses the ball to whoever's going to hand it off, and then he carries out his next responsibility, which is to be a blocker again. So this is almost like a superpower counter. It's like you get that additional blocker back.
Numbers wise, it's the same.
Yeah,
just like
sure.
you would, So it's power just with counter.
Wait till you see this
backfield action, and then changing who's kicking out who makes a difference too. Like if you know on counter, telling our DNs that backside guard's going to pull, he's kicking you. So when he's not the kick out player, that may mess with them as well too. So
correct.
But more so at the end of the day, it's just getting that extra number there. It's just too many people at the point of attack to get it's tough. A lot of people, you got to get a lot of defenders. If you have four or five blockers at the point of attack, you better match that, or else you're going to be outnumbered.
Yeah, you get outnumbered. I mean, you know what? You just get outnumbered.
I like it that way. Obviously, the crisscross counter, the double handoff or pitch and then handoff. It does take some reps, but this is a great later season ad too. Especially if you're playing the same team twice. This will be a nice change up. Another way to get an extra guy at the point of attack for sure. Yeah.
So I'm going to something that's a little bit more, I guess, a little bit more line pressure. All right. So now they're in a 6-2. All right, with double A gaps. And I'm going to draw out a play that I love. Again, we talked about it. It's called a yo-yo counter, but I keep it modular in my system. I'm not adding no more, no tags to plays that they don't understand. So this would be bear, Ray, 35, 5, counter, cutback. Okay? Now, this, if you can get this play off, it is the nastiest of all double wing counters. I don't care what anyone says. And there's a reason, because it brings all the boys to the yard. Okay? Period. It brings all the milkshakes to the yard. There's so much blocking on this play that if it doesn't get blown up in the backfield, because this is one play that can get blown up in the backfield. If there's any penetration or they blitz the living crap out of you that play, you're going to get blown up in the backfield. There's only so many people you can block and gaps that you can protect. But if they are already sitting back on their heels because you've been feeding them power and they're just they don't know what to do, or you've given them a good dose of Ray no play, which I love. I just love toying with teams that try to time me up and do all that stuff with my motion. So when you get teams playing on their heels, I will run this. I don't care if they're in a 6-2. I prefer they're in a 5-3, but 4-4s I don't care about. 4-4s we mulch through those too. But this play is particularly nasty because of how many blockers you have. So, good God blocking, it is a 35 counter cutback, okay? Again, my guard knows that on counter cutbacks, he is not kicking out the defensive end, okay? So, that's one of those, teaching things that you have to get down with your guard. Which plays is he kicking out the defensive end? Because if he's supposed to pull up into the hole and be a lead blocker, and him and the quarterback run out there to take the same kid, I just lost a kid. So I don't want that to happen. So here's how this plays out. It's good God blocked on the play side. So the 3-man is getting the ball. But check this out. He's going to the 5-man. But he's going to go in Ray motion. Okay? So that's why this play is crazy. So man on, man away for the center. So he's blocking man away from the play. Okay? Guard steps in. He sees a guy in his gap. He is blocking gap on down because he is inside the at man, so he automatically has a gap block right here. Okay, this is the at man, so he's blocking good. He steps to the line, gap on, outside gap down. So he's like, oh, I got someone in my outside gap. Boom, right here. This guy is the kingpin. He's blocking gap down backer. He looks in, oh, got someone in his gap. Boom, right here. Okay, now this guy is coming in motion. Now, typically on this play, I will have him come a little bit deeper. Okay? He gets the toss in the normal spot. Okay? Right about here in this area. Okay? Mm-hmm. And then what he's going to do is after he gets the toss, He continues his lateral steps till he gets right, dead, period, midline. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yep.
So he's going to have the ball for about, this distance. So the ball is in his hands. When he gets to midline, he just puts on the brakes, which means he just basically digs his cleats into the dirt and faces this direction and basically immediately takes off in the same direction he came from, okay? It's a slight hesitation. You just got to put on the brakes and immediately at full speed come out the gates, okay? Go into the left. Now, again, the quarterback opens up. He steps to 7, stepping with his left foot to that 7 marker, and he tosses the ball. Then attacks right downhill. The end. Okay? Now, backside, like I told you, guard knows he's not kicking out the end. He pulls up through the hole. Fast inside reach. Okay? Fullback. Counter step. Comes through the hole. Backside tight end. Gate pull. Inside out. Backside wing. Following the tight end through the hole. And then this kid is just going to follow this, what should be a mass of humanity.
So, like,
if you watch any of my counter cutback videos,
they're
on the line. Yeah.
Double wing, man. It's crazy. And
I mean,
let me just...
That's as nasty as it comes. But
I know. And let me just add something, too, because I know some people watching might say, like, since the splits are so tight and the linemen are so far back, they shouldn't have a problem getting out in front of the ball carrier. Just so we're clear. Because I imagine some people saying, oh, the tight end or that backside wing that's pulling, and we call it pull wrap, pulling wrapping through, might not get there. Yes, they will. Because the splits there is no splits, and they're so far back.
Yeah, at youth, man. And you know what I also do, Jeff? I don't let my kids take these wide stances. If my kids are wider than shoulder width,
yeah, you can't.
End to end, my line is super cramped. And because I don't let the kids take big wide stances and make the entire formation get wider.
And when your kids have
I don't want to have
stances,
the kids cover that distance. So
when you have wide stances, you're not really taking that first step. You're taking a little baby step. You're not exploding. And then you got to wait for that other foot that's so wide to come all the way across your body, hit the ground and go. So, like, having your feet shoulder width max is critical. So, very, very, like, underrated, if you're in point.
If you're in zero line splits and these kids are shoulder width with their feet, man, this is only like probably 4 feet. This kid right here, like, I've been lucky to have athletes at this position, the wide position. If I have an athlete here, it's going to be really bad for the defense, because if this kid gets, and he's going to get to where I need him to be, because I want my tight end to be almost as fast as my 2-back. This kid's like a smallerish kid, if you get this off, it's...
Oh, no, I'm sorry. But even if you're concerned about the wing getting out to the play side, you could just have him cheat a split in a foot. No one's going to know, or. So, could I always have that wing cheat in a little bit, even if you're, if he's not getting there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, on this play, I've also had on this play, I will tell you how this play can get shut down. And it basically has to do with this kid needs to be in, like, berserk mode. If this kid is in berserk mode and he sees these two kids turn tail and go, and he's just on a mission, he can just about get there. Like, I've timed it, and I've kind of talked about, like, I'll put my defenders in like a track stance. And I'll be like, go with everything you have and see if you can get there. And I try to speed it up so that our timing is to the point to where that kid would need to be in a full sprint, like no contain, no rules. He is just going straight to the deepest offensive, like deepest ball carrier. Mm-hmm. Which, if he's coming like that, then I've got a lot of other stuff for him. But again, you don't get any pre-play, warning that this is going to happen. And if this kid over here who has been getting fed power all day, probably the last thing he's going to do is to chase this. Like when he sees this, he's thinking that power's coming.
Yeah, and if he's slicing in, just run sweep.
So man, that's all I got, buddy.
Yeah, that's
for like sure. Like in this situation, I would run a sweep. Like my Trojan sweep invites defensive ends that want to do that, because essentially what I would do is my Trojan sweep that I run the opposite direction. So if they try to do that with me, it's funny that you bring that up. When I'm in gun, so this is gun, right? So my 3-back is back here, right? And then my quarterback is right here. And this is my 4-back, okay? So what I will do is I will run, like if he wants to do that, he's an easy reach block for this wing. If he tries to do this, my wing just comes out and then just my wing just crams him in. And I just run, 30, I just run 38 Trojan. I run 38 Trojan, so basically these kids will pull deep. Both of them will pull deep. This will just be a massacre on this side. I pull back, gate pulling. This kid's going to come deep. Like, it's going to be ugly. And this is, he turns his back to the defense. He hands the ball off, and then he boots this way.
Yep. Nice.
Yeah. So, if they want to play me like that, I still run 34 power, obviously, out of this set. Like, really easy. It's just a handoff. We do all the same 34 power stuff. It's the same, backside guard and backside, tight end pulling, good God blocking. So I just watch what this kid does. And if he starts playing in tight or he tries to line up heads up on my tight end, then I just grease him with either Trojan sweep. Because if he gets even within a hair of my wing, I'm going to say, hey, can you reach block that kid? And I don't like the matchup, though, of my 2-back on their best defensive end. So when I run Trojan, I try to run Trojan this way. Because I don't really want to deal with this kid. I want to deal with this kid over here because I feel that this kid over here is a... Huh?
Yeah, no, I agree.
He's a better athlete than him. Yeah.
Where they're not as good or you're better.
Yeah, like he should be a better athlete than this kid over here, right? So just by going, by matchups, I'd rather put my 2-back running a 27 Trojan the opposite direction than try to deal with him. But if he wants to crash down, we got something for that too.
That's right.
And that's all I got on counters, man.
Yeah, oh, very good. Cool.